Hello and welcome back to the brosBTalking podcast. It's me, one of your hosts, the least hot, it has to be said, Drift BGS, and I'm joined today with
The most hot apparently. I'm feeling very very hot today, and you're joined by yourself truly, Toby, or also Barbaric Ballot that will show up for about 3 or 4 days and disappear for a month or two. You know, that's just the barbaric way.
that's the only amount that anyone can handle. They can only handle you for a few days at a
I'll
time.
do like 3 streams of like 2 hours a day, and then just that'll be it.
Yeah.
That'll be it for like about 2-3 months. I'm like, oh no, like live the streaming life.
Well, some people stream that way. Not unheard of.
Yeah, but I think you've got to have like a big following to be able to do that.
No, true.
But how have you been today anyways? You all been good?
Good. I will say I might sound a little bit off, and it's because today while driving to work, a lorry went past me, a truck, and a massive stone fell off it and smashed my windscreen.
Bob, I thought you were going to say you watched some like people get massacred or something.
No, it
They're
smashed.
still quite bad, but they're still quite mad. Did it go through your windscreen?
No, it just made like a massive indent, and it's all like cracked, and it's like
Well, just be
so
thankful it didn't go through your head, though. No.
it might as well have. I got a
What?
new windscreen. I got a new windscreen 3 months ago. Right, a whole new windscreen. I did it through my insurance, and I paid £150 on top of that because I had a massive crack in it. And then 3 months later, it's smashed by a stupid rock falling off a truck.
I don't know. I feel like you could have been saved by a guardian angel there, Bob.
I think I was, to be fair, but
And
should have killed me.
and you're here complaining about your windscreen.
I wish for death.
So
How's your
we
day?
started off really light and happy. We hope all of our listeners are all good and well.
Yes.
Right, so moving on, we've got a tournament trilogy bracket, haven't we?
We do. Look, it's on screen.
But so you able to get it up on screen?
Yes, it's very basic. It's not quite as flashy as our other one, but
So should we? I reckon if we go from left to right, and then obviously top to bottom, we go through which trilogies we are on about, and then we can get into it and see what our winning trilogy of brosBTalking is.
Yes, so we'll start off with the Pirates of the Caribbean versus Planet of the Apes. We're rating them on 3 things: villains, heroes, and overall story. So that overall story is how each episode links in the trilogy. You might notice we've picked some trilogies that have more films in them, but
So
we're only assessing.
I was about to say, with that, we are only assessing the trilogies of that. For examples of that are Parts of the Caribbean and Shrek, where there is more than
Meets the
3
eye.
films, but we are just using that trilogy. So, yeah, should we start with the first one? So, what category are we going to go off first?
So villains. Let's talk villains. Pirates of the Caribbean. There's some very good villains.
Well, I'm about to say, I think, what are the Planet of the Apes villains? Because I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of Planet of the Apes villains, and like, I know I can't remember their names.
So in the first Planet of the Apes, you've got the scientists and humanity in general. In the second one, it's Koba, who is one of the lieutenants of Caesar. He's the main villain, which is a good villain because he actually betrays his people and starts a war with the humans. I'd say it was almost Shakespearean, the second Planet of the Apes. It's a top tier film. And then the third one is humans again are the bad guys. There's that crazy general guy played by Woody Harrelson.
But isn't there bad apes as well in it?
Yes, there's traitor apes. So there's like race traitor apes that have like donkey written on the back and are abused. That's like one of the greatest moments as well, is when the gorilla who's been like on the side of the humans but taking loads of abuse, saves Caesar right at the end. It's pretty epic.
Okay. I'm with you. Bob just went through like the entire story arc.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, what the villain's like, and he just goes from right to the end there. Spoiler alert. We'll make sure to put that in the video before we get on to the trilogy.
Yes, yeah. There is major spoiler alert here, and then but then right, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Parts of the Caribbean. So the first villain, you have Captain Barbossa.
Yep, he's a great villain.
And then you have the Black Pearl, and I think that's he's a really good villain. And then the second one is Davy Jones. That is the main villain, and it's about Davy Jones's locker.
Yep.
And then the third one is you sort of have a few villains. You've got the leaders of the trading company.
Yep, East India Trading Company.
That's the one. And then you've got the nine pirate lords. And then you still got Davy Jones there as well. And I think it's quite good because the villains and all of that, like at one point in the third film, they literally have like a standoff at a beach where they just trade people.
Yeah,
like,
that is funny.
And it's just one of those where it's just a bit like, right, we'll take him. It's like, right, we'll take we'll take Jack with like, right, we'll take Will, and then everyone sort of looks around. They're like, right, okay, that's good. No, but I like all the villains in that, and like definitely when you think of the first villain in the first Pirates of the Caribbean is one of the main heroes in the third one.
Yeah, that's cool. That is cool. The
But do you know what, right, Bob? Just from the way you described that though, like I love the villains in Pirates of the Caribbean, but I'm not gonna lie. I think you've got that for the. I'll give you that for the villains. What I'd say that 1-0 for the Planet.
No. See, I'm leaning Pirates of the Caribbean for villains only because they're just so comical and they're like funny, and like you said, they swap sides and stuff. The Planet of the Apes definitely has like, villains are humanity.
But it's
stuff.
the way that you said that there's quite big betrayals. I think that the betrayals on Pirates of the Caribbean aren't as consequential. Like, yeah, I think that's why when there's the swap, I'm trying to think in my head who actually gets swaps now.
Yeah, because it is. Yeah, they're kind of all just funny pirate people, and then
yeah, and it was a bit the villain. It was still the same people fighting each other. It was just some like the side character sort of switching sides. That made sort of no difference to who they were fighting, anyways.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think the fact that you can refer to Shakespeare, but if you want to give it to me, I'll tell you what. Out of 10, right on the count of 3, we're both going to say a number out of 10 of what we rate the villains, and you do it for the Planet of the Apes, I'll do it for Pirates of the Caribbean, and then we'll see which one's bigger.
Okay.
All right. 3, 2, 1, 7.
6.5.
Ooh.
There you go.
That's what 1-0 Pirates of the Caribbean. What's the next category, Bob?
Heroes.
Heroes. See, this I think is a landslide for Pirates of the Caribbean. I can't lie. You've got Captain Jack. You've got Will Turner. You've got what's the main female character called in it?
Keira Knightley. Oh,
yeah, that's the actress, but what's her name? 2 seconds. Cast. Hang on. Why is it showing you everyone but her? Honestly,
I'm trying to think of a name. What is her name?
Is it? It's not like Kate, is it? It's
No, I know what you mean.
Elizabeth Swann.
Elizabeth Swann, that's it. Yeah.
Right. So with Elizabeth Swann,
Yep.
yeah, there's Elizabeth Swann. Swann's one of them. Captain Barbossa, you could argue he's one of them. You've got the funny character where his eye pops out, and the short-hauled one.
Yeah.
That they're really funny. You got the guy that can't talk. Has always got the parrot. Yeah, I think they've got quite a few good heroes. But what about Planet of the Apes?
So, Planet of the Apes, you have Caesar, Rocket, Maurice, Cobra in the first and half of the second one, and then you have the gorilla. I can't remember the gorilla's name because he dies in the first one, but he sacrifices himself when they're on the bridge, and that's just a legendary moment. And then where he runs and he dives at the helicopter because the helicopter's like sniping all the apes as they're trying to hide. And then the gorilla just, goes, well, I'm a fucking gorilla. I'll go take it out. But they're all, one good thing about Planet of the Apes is that they're all people, apes that have been with Caesar throughout the whole thing. So they're all the same apes, which is true for Pirates of the Caribbean as well. So I could see the Pirates of the Caribbean being, the heroes are top tier as well, just like the villains. But, Caesar is a pretty cool ape as it goes. I mean, he's a good leader. He's, fair with these people.
Do you always root for Caesar?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
I don't think you always root for the good guys in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Well, like you said, they kind of swap, and by the third Pirates of the Caribbean film, they all have their own agendas, don't they? that they're like battling with.
There's so many like little like storylines because at the beginning they have to go and rescue Jack from the world of the dead because they kill him off at the end of the second one.
Yeah, he falls into the Kraken's mouth, doesn't he?
Well, yeah. So he, I know that was all. That was all a bit weird, but I tell you what, I think I'll give you that on the heroes though, just because of you're on about people like sacrificing themselves and like, did he stay dead?
Yeah, of course he did.
Yeah, well, I was about to say I don't loads of characters that die in Pirates of the Caribbean. I think that's the one problem with the heroes. Yeah, so I'd give that point to Planet of the Apes.
Fair enough. I mean, Caesar is just a legendary hero, and you've got Maurice, who's the orangutan, who's really smart. He's, he survives. Becky cried when he got shot. He doesn't get shot in the face.
I'm glad I've got a terrible memory because I'll forget I'll forget lots of these. But honestly, the thing is though, there's so many movies that like I've not wanted to get spoiled for it, and then I've just realised I just have a terrible memory, so like it's all right. I just forget. Like unless it's a show that like if you told me like a spoiler for House of the Dragon, I'd know it.
Yeah.
Like, but if you told me a spoiler of something I haven't watched all the way through, I would just forget unless you sort of like drilled it into me what happened, like on multiple occasions. So what's the last category again? Isn't it storylines?
Yeah, overall story across all three of the films.
Okay, so my argument for Pirates of the Caribbean is I love that at the very beginning of the trilogy, you see you see Captain Jack, you see him on his boat, he looks all high and like proud and all of that. And then as the camera palms out, you see that his ship is basically sinking as he's coming on, and he's, alone by himself with no ship, looking for a crew.
Yeah, that is one of the best intros of all time.
And that is how the end of the third one ends.
With him going out on a boat.
By himself and had no one with him. And it's and he's like starting out, and I quite liked that he basically ended up where he started from, but yet he still had a crazy story.
That is fun.
I love with Captain Jack as well. Like the whole story arc is you can't help but laugh throughout it because he does. I can't remember which one it is, but there's I think it's in the third one, and then you see him like escape, and then you see one of the guys turn around and go, Do you think he plans it or just makes it up as he goes along? And then the guy just looks back at him in disgust and he's like, "Oh shit, sorry." Like just because it's just so like amazing how he gets away, but it's all pure dumb luck as well.
It is good. It is pretty cool. What I'd say is the story kind of goes crazy between the second and the third one.
But I will agree with you there. But then the story up from the first and second still carries on. You have the same villains from the first and second film, and one of the villains is now on the good side, and then you've had a villain that's turned, vice. I think you've had two villains turn to the good side. But no, I think it is a good story arc. I think there's just not enough consequence. Think how many battles you see in Pirates of the Caribbean, and then ever look back at a battle and go, how many people die in that one?
Yeah, yeah.
Like very rarely did it ever actually die. They ever have like an hour fight. They're like, right, we're out of ammo. We're all still here. Like they never talk about losing anyone.
Yeah, unless they're like the British who are losing the battle, in which case guys are getting blown up left, right, and centre, aren't they?
Yeah, do you know what? Even though Pirates of the Caribbean was one of like my Pokemons, as so to say, I think I'd have to go storyline to Planet of the Apes.
The thing is with Planet of the Apes, you see how the apes are created in the first one, and you see them run away to the woods, and then it ends with the virus that kills humans, which basically causes the apocalypse, like COVID. Then in the second one, it's about the apes with the apes are trying to live their own life, and the humans are trying to survive. The humans, basically, Koba, one of the trusted lieutenants of Caesar, betrayed because he hates humans so much because he was experimented on as a little baby monkey. He initiates a war between the humans and the apes by framing humans for killing Caesar, but Caesar survives and basically attacks the humans, which leads to the humans calling in other humans and telling them we're being attacked by the sentient apes that the COVID caused, which means that the third one opens up with the war between the humans and the apes because the apes got a hold of loads of guns and shit from the other humans, and then the army humans have come in to try and save the other humans, and it's all escalated massively. I would say the weakest link between them is the same as the Pirates of the Caribbean. Dawn and War is probably the weakest link, and I'd say War is probably the worst film in the series.
So by the sounds of it, it's like humans have the upper hand in the first one,
Yep.
then the apes have the upper hand in the second one, and then in the third one it's the decider.
Yeah, and it's absolute carnage, and the
But
the apes.
I just think if we're going like on the broader spectrum, it's what's happening is a lot more consequential when people die and people lose a battle in Planet of the Apes. I think it has a lot more sway than when it happens in parts of the Caribbean.
Yeah, it does. It does. Like I said, the gorilla dies. Koba betrays and then is killed. I think is it Rocket? One of the apes dies. In the second one, it is there. There's a lot of them dying left, right, and center. They're trying to survive.
Well, this is what I mean is like well, I was about to say like because I'm not sure about all the like people because I haven't watched all three of them. So like some of the people saying about dying, I can't remember their names.
Yeah.
But like when we're talking about like the actual like storyline, I think that Planet of the Apes takes that.
Fair enough. So Planet of the Apes is ahead of
Yeah, just because it sounds like it's more of a consistent thing, like and like I said, parts of the Caribbean, it basically finishes where it started.
Yeah, fair. I mean, it kind of. I was not expecting Planet of the Apes to win that one. So.
Well, no,
Fair
but
enough.
there was lots of points and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that it definitely deserved to win 2-1. So what is our next ones?
Are we going left to right across the top, or
Up to you, brother.
should we do original Star Wars trilogy versus Lord of the Rings?
Is that the top right?
Top right, yeah.
Okay, so do you want to enter your? Do you want to talk about yours first? Well, which one is it? Which one is yours that you put in, and then which category do you want to start with?
I'll back Star Wars. Sorry about that, and I'll start with villains again. Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine. I mean, you can't.
Darth Maul.
Darth Maul isn't in this one. He's in the prequel trilogy.
Oh, okay, yeah, right. This is why it's good to have you here, because there'd be Star Wars fans absolutely raging at me.
Yeah, Darth
So
Vader.
Is it the villains? So villains I've got is for Lord of the Rings is Saruman.
Yep, Sauron.
Sauron. And all the orcs.
Orcs. You have the Nazgul.
Yeah, well, I was about to say
Gorthmog.
with the villain of this story, you have like those riders that come out to come get you and stuff.
You've also got the ring, which is around the hero's neck the entire time.
I was about to say
a villain.
The villain is sort of good, but then a critic I would have is you don't see it much.
No, well, they don't show Sauron at all, do they? And then they do show Saruman. To be honest, Lord of the Rings. So Darth Vader is an iconic villain, and he gets redeemed at the end, which is always cool for villains.
But then I never really saw him as a villain, anyways. But I can get onto that a little bit later. I'm just I know unpopular opinion, but Vader was not a villain.
But Lord of the Rings, I think the fact that Frodo has to carry the ring of power, which is in itself a villain, with him that entire journey throughout all three of those movies is pretty powerful.
How much? Okay, but how much is the storyline of the villain how much is the storyline driven by the villains in Star Wars, and how much is it driven in Lord of the Rings? And I think Lord of the Rings, it's pretty much from the get-go, this is what the task is, this is what we got to do, this is what we're up against, this is our team.
Yeah, but you got breaking of the fellowships, at the end of the Fellowship of the Ring when they get split up by the
yeah, but that's not the end of that's not the end of the journey. That's just like shit happens.
No, but then Gimli, Legolas, and Aragorn go on their little adventure to like basically draw all of Sauron's effort to whatever they get up to, and then you've got Merry and Pippin who raise the Ents in the second one to fight against the Tower of Saruman.
Well, that's what I mean. That's just more points to my argument. Is that the whole series is every little thing that goes to it is going towards doing that, as you said, about distracting them, about them getting the Ents in, and about the Frodo getting the ring there. Like everything that's going on is all part of a bigger plan to get it done. And what I would say in Star Wars is sometimes the villains and the arcs, they are the end of the films and the things that we most care about, but they aren't the big plots of it. Like the big plots will be, stop this person getting into power, not who will win this fight.
True, but then like Vader obviously blowing up Alderaan in the first one basically causes them to land on the Death Star and rescue Princess Leia, which kickstarts all that off. Obi-Wan, Luke's master and mentor, dying in the first one. I bet that was shocking. Imagine not really knowing that trope and watching that in like 1970 and being like, what the hell? They killed off the wise old man immediately before he even trained Luke in anything. Like, that's pretty devastating. And then the second one, obviously, you got Luke going to Dagobah, meeting Yoda.
Yeah, but hang on. You're talking more about the heroes, though. We're talking about the villains.
Yeah, well, I just said he blew up a planet, and then, but then he goes to Vader because Vader knows that he will go after his friends. Because Anakin would have gone after his mates, so he's training with Luke, and Yoda's like, "Don't go, Luke. You're not strong enough to fight Vader." And he's like, "Well, my friends are in trouble." And Vader knows as his son that that's exactly what he would have said. So he was going to turn up to Cloud City. And then the third one, Vader obviously comes in clutch at the end. I I would give it to Lord of the Rings though.
I was about to say, bro. I think that was a bit of It's got to be Lord of the Rings
Lord of
on
the
that
Rings, yeah.
because the villains stay the villains as well.
Yeah, it's true, and that is
And
one thing though.
it's a villain category thing.
Yeah, and in both sets of villains are just like 100% villains. You wouldn't see Darth Vader or like the mouth of Saruman, the mouth of Sauron, and not think they're a villain. Like they just have to be. And like orcs and stormtroopers are just the quintessential villains.
Yeah, but people that don't know Star Wars always think the stormtroopers are the good guys.
I think the clones confuse people though.
Yeah, they confuse me. I am people.
what about heroes?
Okay, heroes. Heroes. I think that in Lord of the Rings, there's a lot more story arcs because you've got all the fellowships, all their arcs. Got like the hobbits going off on their adventures. You've got Gandalf doing his thing. Obviously, you said about like Legolas, Gimli, and Aragorn. Like they're off doing their thing. I think that they do get fleshed out really well. The negative thing I would say about the heroes is, oh my god, the they the goodbyes in that is just so long.
What in the third one? Yeah.
Yeah, they're just so long. Like I just want the film to end like earlier. I'm just there like it's done. You said goodbye. Like it's done. Like look, we'll say goodbye again. Look, no, bye, bye. And I'm still like, it's long. It's long. They should have taken. I was about to say, they should have taken a leaf out the Hobbit then, but the Hobbit wasn't made by then. But yeah, because in the end of the Hobbit, you don't watch his journey back. He just sort of goes, right, I'm off, and then next thing you know, he's back home. You're like, sound.
Yeah.
You're like, it makes sense. We'd already done the adventure. But what argument would you have for Star Wars heroes? Because I don't like Luke.
You don't like Luke? How
No,
can you
Luke
not like?
Skywalker's a knob.
Why?
He just is, man. Like I just don't think he. I like Anakin.
What about Han Solo?
Yoda. I like Han Solo. He's all right. I just don't like. I'm just not a fan of Luke.
He's got that like him and Frodo. I've just realised this. Him and Frodo are quite similar, and also Obi-Wan dies in A New Hope, and Gandalf obviously perishes fighting the Balrog in the Fellowship of the Ring, and then Boromir also dies in the Fellowship of the Ring. So I think that raises the stakes a little bit higher than in Star Wars, because apart from that, no one else dies really except for Yoda, and then the bad guys. And Porkins, of course. But yeah,
I think I don't know. I just like. Don't get me wrong. Yoda's a very liked hero.
yeah. There
But
you
I
go.
think that's it.
Yeah, I was like really interested. I was like, well, I wonder where he's going with this. He's a great hero, but ultimately he is a little green muppet.
No, no, but he is like that's it. Like he's the only one.
Look, I think it's got to go to Lord of the Rings. I think Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli's like misadventures, and Samwise is such.
One
So
of
cool.
my favorite lines is when they're running, and then Legolas turns around. They're like, "Oh, keep up." And then you see Gimli like so far behind. He's like, "Us dwarves are natural splinters."
Yeah, see, you don't have that kind of humor. There is humor in Star Wars, and obviously you've got the love story between Han and Leia, and also you've got that kind of like three-way love story when Luke doesn't know it's their brother and sister.
Yeah, no, I don't know. They try and sort of Game of Thrones it up before it was Game of Thrones in time.
Well, she never liked Luke that way. She always kind of liked Han, but she had to kind of keep Han. She had to show Luke a degree of affection to kind of get Han off her back, and it works. In the third one, in Return of the Jedi, Han's like, "Look, if you want to go with Luke, I understand," and she's like, "He's my brother," and he's like, "I just saw you guys kiss on the mouth." He like looks off into space and is like, I saw you guys kiss.
Yeah, no, it all got a bit weird there. But yeah, I think you'd have to say for
Heroes, Lord of the Rings. You're right. You're right.
what I will now, this one we can go through a bit quicker because obviously it's already a 2-0 scenario on the categories. But what I will say is, as much as I do love Lord of the Rings, there is massive plot holes in the sense of they surely could have just used the Eagles a lot more than they did. And with Star Wars, you can sort of understand why the story had to take as long as it did for things to happen.
Star Wars is a legendary story, overall story, but the first one was written as its own self-contained story. If they only like damaged the Death Star, it would have made way more sense than them blowing it up entirely and then them having to build a second Death Star. The 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 Lord of the Rings obviously was written as like as an actual full story that spans across 3 books. So I would have to give it to overall story to Lord of the Rings. Star Wars is obviously a great story, like you said. The plot hole thing, Toby, the Nazgul have fiend creatures that they can ride around.
Yeah, that's sound.
Yeah, they could have fought you as like you as you try to fly to Mordor. Also, Mordor would have seen you coming. The massive eye would have seen you coming, and
Well, they can see me coming. I'm be quick time.
no, they would
You
have
know how long it
filled.
takes? Do you know how long it takes them to do anything in that film? By the time I was on the case, like Gandalf would have, still been talking to Frodo at flipping the Shire.
Yeah, but like that Mount Doom, the slopes of Mount Doom would have been crawling with orcs with arrows and ballistas and things. Would have been carnage.
But what I'm saying is they could have taken them further, not all the way, but further than they did. They could have picked them up from the Shire and taken them at least halfway.
True, true, but then you got to remember as well that the Eagles are like their own people. Like
I
they're
don't
like their own
care.
kingdom. You've got to
I don't
negotiate
care.
with
I'll be
them.
there like you're in the kingdom that's dying. You're gonna get killed as well.
No, but they'd be like, I can fly away, mate.
I'll be there like, oh well, if it's that easy to fly around, can you just fly us here so I can drop this ring in? That's something bloody selfish.
Also, there's no telling how the ring would have corrupted an eagle. It might have corrupted the eagle if the eagle got hold of it on its own. So it was just risky overall. The ring had to be held by a hobbit the whole time. Now I don't know why they didn't just
Why
I
didn't he
don't
take an army of hobbits? Why didn't he take the entire Shire?
true. That is true. Or like just like attach a ring to like a donkey. And then the poor donkey would have to deal with the ring's corrupting force, but it's just a donkey, you know.
What are you trying to say? Trying to say donkeys don't matter, Bob?
I feel like if the donkey tries anything and you've got a sword on you, the donkey would put up a
Yeah, but
good
this
fight.
is a cunning donkey.
Yeah, true.
You've never met a donkey possessed by the ring.
We're sat around at the camp and you just hear me go, "Oh shit!" You turn around, donkey's sword fighting me with a sword in its mouth. I'm like,
Well, yeah, but if
Toby,
you got
run!
attacked by the donkey, no one would believe you. So that's how it would get you, and then
True.
you would get burnt alive for going insane.
I think a major plot hole as well was just even at all trusting Gollum at any point.
I'd make Gollum's one of the boys. Don't even. Right, look, we'll move on to that. That was a clean sweep, 3-0 to Lord of the Rings.
God damn, right. We're starting off with this is a tough one. The Dark Knight trilogy versus the prequel trilogy.
Right, so what category? Actually, let's go with storyline first.
Right, so this is for the prequel trilogy. This has actually been written as a trilogy this time, so there is
Yeah,
actually
and the storyline is awesome. Only other than they completely screw over the main character.
Toby has a vendetta against George Lucas for what he did to Anakin.
No, honestly, like Anakin's still a good guy. I still obviously people bring up the whole killing the kids thing, but right, you don't actually see that.
Well, you see him fighting the kids on the holocron.
Nah.
Look,
He could have just been waving it. That could have been a fake. He could have been like that for your safety.
true. The overall story is actually quite smart with the prequel trilogy because you got Palpatine who like set everything up from the beginning. You know, all the major events, and it all kind of comes together. But it also doesn't go perfectly to plan. He has to swap apprentices when Obi-Wan kills Darth Maul, and
I love Darth Maul.
Darth Maul was pretty cool. We'll talk about him in the villain side of things.
Oh yeah, true.
The Dark Knight trilogy, also a great set of films.
Wow, the storyline is it is good.
I don't know if it's interconnected.
The standout film is the one with Heath Ledger in.
Yeah, the second one. I'm not sure how connected the films are though. I'm trying to think.
They are connected, but like it's not like this is what I mean. If we're going on storyline for a trilogy, I think we've got to give the point to Star Wars on this one.
Yeah, like obviously Batman goes through a lot between the second and the third film, and he has to like fight his mentor in the first film. But I think all of them, it's kind of like they're all good films on their own. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're all the Batman films you can watch on their own without having to watch the others.
Yeah.
But I feel that with the Star Wars, you wouldn't know what was going. Wouldn't know what was going on. You'd be a little confused.
Yeah, you'd enjoy it, but you'd be a bit like, well, what happens next? Whereas the
And
Batman ones,
what was the meaning of that? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
was that a big reveal or not? Like, what?
yeah, exactly. Whereas the Batman ones, you'd be like, oh, that was a cool superhero film, basically.
I think for trilogy, we'd have to give the point to Star Wars, but honorable mention for the best movie out of those two trilogies. The best movie would be The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
Because that was a sick film.
I'd say it's tied with Revenge of the Sith, but
yeah, no, both good, but then they do my boy Anakin bad.
yeah.
Like I said the entire film that I was watching it with Reese. I turned around and I was like, look, I'm not being funny, but every single time Obi-Wan is seen from Anakin, Obi-Wan even says it himself that it's like the 10th time that Anakin saved him. And then every single time I was like, yeah, Anakin's just a better fighter. Obi-Wan just always loses. And then I thought, oh, they ever thought, Anakin would, kill him. And I knew that he turned bad, but I couldn't remember like what. And throughout this whole trilogy, I was there. Like, I completely see it from his point of view. Like, yeah, like I don't know. I've joined the dark side, Bob.
You have joined it. I could see you doing an Anakin, to be honest. The look with the Obi-Wan versus Anakin, you're right. On a perfect day where conditions were perfect, Anakin would have had a much better chance against Obi-Wan. But the thing is, Anakin had been awake for 3 days straight. Anakin had literally been killing people for like 48 hours of consistent just fighting and killing people. Obi-Wan had slept while he stowed away on Padme's thing. He was fresh coming into that. And Anakin wasn't so much better than him that he could get away with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was all a bit. I was just shocked because I didn't know it ended like that.
Becky was shocked
I thought
too.
that he killed Obi-Wan. So you can imagine the shock on my face when I was like, no. I was like, how? How did this happen? But yeah. So what are we on now? Are we on to the next category or?
Oh yeah, should we do heroes?
Yeah, go on. We'll go heroes. So obviously you got Batman.
Yeah. And Jim Gordon.
Good. Everyone knows who Batman is, and Batman is just cool.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, Star Wars prequels, they have so many different legendary characters. Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan in the first one, and then you've got Anakin and Obi-Wan, Mace Windu. and Yoda in the second one and in the third one. But I don't know if any of them stand up to Batman. You know what I mean? Is like
Yeah,
the
no,
single
I was
focus.
about to say I knew I do know what you mean. But Anakin is a hero in this trilogy.
He is.
I don't get what people say, and definitely the majority of it, he is definitely the hero.
Yeah.
So I would say the hero has got to be Star Wars, because the only good hero you got is Batman.
Yeah, it's true. It is true. I think individually they don't stand up to Batman, but generally, if you're just looking at all the heroes, I mean, I love Obi-Wan as well, and even Padme's a bit of a badass in Attack of the Clones. Yeah, I'll give it to Star Wars.
But I was about to say, though, saying that because I know it's going to be like going on to our next thing, but with the villains, the Joker's so good that I almost feel that you could give it to them.
Yeah, so this was going to be my argument in this one. I was going to say the overall plot and the villains, Palpatine leading into like this galactic empire, is very good, but I'd say the villains in Dark Knight trilogy are better because the villains in the first Star Wars film are the Trade Federation, and they're like your average weekend TV show, animated show villains. You know, they're not like scary or
Yeah,
deep.
no, I think I'd agree with you. I think that there's a lot more consequences to their actions and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then like the second one, you've got like Count Dooku and the Trade Federation guys. You got a bit more Palpatine, but not that much. In General Grievous, he's great, but they're very much like sort of Saturday morning cartoon villains, aren't they? They're not, they're not like the Joker or
Well,
even Bane.
what I was surprised is they introduced Darth Maul and then got rid of it.
Yeah, he did kill Qui-Gon Jinn though, who was a legendary hero. So
Well, I don't know how legendary he was.
but he was.
I don't remember seeing him at the meetings.
Yeah, well, he didn't attend many of the legendary hero meetings. Let me and Toby go to. He went to the ones far, far away. So
he goes to the ones an hour later.
yeah, yeah, he goes to the Thursday night ones.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so I think we both sort of agreed there. There's a 2-1 to Star Wars, but a massive shout out to the villains in Batman.
Yeah, the Batman is class. The This one is going to be interesting. Just
I was about to say that they're more light-hearted ones that we've put in there, and I think that they both could. This could be a dark horse, one of these trilogies for the title.
yeah, I'm just like looking at it now. I feel like both of these would have lost to almost every
So should we
one of the
tell
others.
so for anyone who is just listening, the next ones up in our quarterfinal is the Shrek trilogy, so Shrek 1, 2, and 3, and the Cars trilogy, Pixar, Cars 1, 2, and 3. Should we go with villains? I think that'd be an interesting one to start with for these ones.
Yeah. So the villains for Shrek are Lord Farquaad, who is actually a class villain thinking about it now. And then you have the fairy godmother and Prince Charming. And then in the second one, don't you have Prince Charming again?
Yeah, Prince Charming. I think he returned to the third one as well. I think he's like a recurring villain, but he's always like scheming in the background, and then they just sort of like dismiss whatever he's going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think now, because then you've got the fairy godmother. She's quite a badass villain because she's magical, so she can just anything that they needed for the plot. They're like magic.
Yeah. No, so it is Prince Charming that comes back, but then also you've got Shrek as his own villain in almost all of these films. There's some deep introspection on Shrek's behalf.
I rate that you can't put Shrek through the villain and
He's his own
I
worst
think
enemy.
I don't know. I think that might be overplaying the Shrek card, but yeah, okay, I can sort of see that. So with my reply to that for the cars is your first villain. You've got Chuck.
Yeah,
Is it Chuck?
I think it is. Yeah,
And yeah, the green one in Cars. I think he's really funny, to be fair.
yeah, he is pretty good.
And I also like. I think it's not really talked about enough, but probably because people are talking about other stuff. But his car did look like the slowest car out of his McQueens and the Kings.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he? He doesn't look like he belongs up there.
Yeah, and you see in later films that that's the only piston cup he ever won.
Oh, is it?
So like, and then and then people are like, oh yeah, like you're shit. Well, because McQueen could have won, and they're like, but it wasn't his fault. McQueen, yes, he did flip the king over, but he didn't tell McQueen to stop. And I tell you what, that's another thing. That's another childhood trauma. I don't really understand why he didn't just cross the line, then push him over, because it wasn't like he was pushing him over to win the race.
Look, Toby, it was a
You need to get over it now.
Toby, he needs to get over this. It was a nice thing for him to do. He was racing. He wasn't thinking straight.
But he would have had at the moment he's like tied with somebody else with 7 piston cups. He would have gone up the table in the all-time piston cups.
Yeah, but
I don't think you care enough about the piston cup. I think that should be a point to the cards there and then.
Who's the villain in the third one? Is it that
Oh
little?
yeah, no. So the second one, you've then got the spies trying to blow up the race.
Yeah, it's that little Italian car, isn't it? That's the villain.
Well, yeah, he's the villain of the racing side, and then you got the spy side of it as well, haven't you?
Yeah, no, I swear he's the villain of the spy side of things. Because don't they like hang him
Nah,
up?
I don't think he is.
Oh, I've got to
He
look
might
up the
be.
plot.
I might need to. Like, 'cause people might say he's the villain because he's like the one that McQueen's got the beef with, but he's not with the ones trying to blow up the race.
No, I swear there is like another. There's like a little car that's
Well,
trying.
there's the British car, isn't there?
Yeah, but he's a good guy, isn't he?
Yeah, but that's what I mean. They're fighting against the not good guys.
He exposes Axelrod as the mastermind. They use his voice to deactivate the bomb. The cars plot for the cars is a terrorist attack. But yeah, the time bomb.
Yeah, no,
that was
that was what it was. Anyways, the third villain was a guy called Storm, and he was one of the first new car, and then all the new cars came through, and then that's when all of like McQueen's friends have to retire, and then you see McQueen sort of dropping down, and
Yeah.
then he gets signed by somebody else, but they don't really want to sign him. They really wanted him for like all the like stuff, all the stuff they could sell with his name on it and stuff. And then he ends up getting trained by a trainer and then trains the trainer. So yeah, the villains aren't as good. I think the villains would probably go to Shrek on
They
that
kind
one.
of got to go to Shrek. I mean, Prince Charming's quite funny. The Lady Godmother's quite funny. Farquaad is great.
Hang on. Cars. Oh, it's Chick. It was Chick Hicks, not Chuck.
Chick Hicks. Yeah. I thought it was Chuck. I don't know. Is it like Chuck Chick Hicks or something?
No, no, it says Chick Hicks. There's no Chuck.
Fair enough. Fair enough. The what do you think of the heroes then? So you got Lightning McQueen and Mater.
Yeah, but you got Lightning McQueen, Mater, got Doc Hudson, you got Sally.
They're the first ones, and then Mater's the real hero of the second one.
Well, yeah, Mace is basically the real hero of it all.
He is.
Like McQueen, he's his own worst enemy, you know.
Exactly, he is. In the third one, in the first and third one, he is his own worst enemy.
Well, even in the second one as well, because it's him being like cocky or something, that he has like off time to actually finally spend with his friends and family, and then he gets challenged to a race, and he's like, "I'm gonna go do it."
Classic Lightning McQueen.
Well, actually, it's Mater that gets him involved. Mater's like, "My buddy McQueen will smoke you." I don't think he says smoking, but he says something along the lines of that.
So maybe Mate is the biggest villain. Oh my god.
Yeah, no, I think. And then obviously you got Donkey, you got Shrek, you got Fiona,
Puss in Boots.
you've got the dragon.
Yeah, they're great, but
I think you got to give it. I think you got to give it to Cars. I'm not going to lie. I think, McQueen, as you said before, Shrek can be like a villain. McQueen is basically he is a hero. Like he's not ever grumpy, really, is he?
is he still with Sally in the later films? I can't remember.
Yeah, they don't move him on. That I'm sort of glad of because that'd be kind of weird.
That would be weird, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
like it didn't work out with Sally. You know, like so you just. So like, why did you? Why?
I'd give it to Cars, but Shrek, I think the heroes are up there. I'd say it was a tie. Shrek, the heroes are pretty good. I mean, Donkey alone, Puss in Boots. Shrek, the second Shrek film. I mean, it's class.
I don't know. I think we might have to go for a vote or something because I've got to put my foot down. Cars heroes are better. Oh look! Oh look! There's a comment. Cars.
Oh shit!
Oh my god!
All right, we'll give it to Cars. How about overall story? Now, I'm sorry, Cars loses the plot with the second one because Mesa becomes a secret agent, goes on this massive spy shit, and then in the third one he is not a secret agent.
Well, no, because he didn't like sign up to be a secret agent. He was just there in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, I mean Shrek, you see him get with Fiona, meet her parents, marry her, have kids, deal with the issues of being a young father. I don't know how old he is.
His father-in-law is a frog.
Yeah, exactly. And he croaks. He croaks in the third one, and he has to go find a replacement to be king because Shrek does not want to be king. That's the plot, I think, of the third one. I think.
No, I can't argue with that. I can't argue. Yeah, 2-1. Give it to Shrek.
Give it to Shrek. Shrek versus Lord of the Rings. I think I'd never even considered this before.
So obviously, now that we've spoken about all of these, we'll be able to sort of go through them a little
rapidly,
bit quicker.
Yeah.
So Lord of the Rings versus Shrek. Villains, I think you'd have to go. I think go Shrek. You know,
they are
because
quite
Lord
funny.
of the Rings only has one villain. You know.
Yeah, well, I could go Shrek. Villain.
Heroes.
I've still got to go Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, you got to go Lord of the Rings for heroes on that one.
Then overall story has to go Lord of the Rings. I think Lord of the Rings has the most coherent overall story out of all these.
But Shrek is enjoyed by millions. Not saying that Lord of the Rings isn't.
It is.
But there are a lot. You're more likely if you go to the court. Mark my word right now. Whenever you are listening to this, if you go to the corner shop and you went and saw somebody, the next person you see in the shop, tap them on the shoulder and say, what do you prefer, Lord of the Rings or Shrek? They're more likely to say Shrek because there are some people that just do not like any of the sort of Lord of the Rings films. But I know lots of people that like Lord of the Rings would still like Shrek.
No, you're right. You're right. The person that likes Lord of the Rings likely likes Shrek too.
Yeah,
They're so similar.
I'm fighting for my life here because like, I'm up against one of the best trilogies of all time.
Yeah. I still think though, if you're looking at overall story, I mean the stakes with Shrek are always like, oh, he's swamp this, he's swamp
What
that.
you want?
Oh, he's annoyed about, he's annoyed about being a dad.
Yeah,
Doesn't want to be king.
hang on. Shrek's gonna fight back and say the exact same back to Frodo. Frodo's all like, oh, I don't think this ring suits me, you know.
The ring is
And then it's like,
alive and is whispering evils in his ears
yeah,
constantly,
but he's got his
being
best
heavy.
pal there, and he's an absolute dick to Sam.
It's got to, I'm going Lord of the Rings. He's a bit of a dick to Sam.
Yeah,
But then
I am gonna
Shrek's
have
the
to
dick to Donkey.
I am gonna have to go Lord of the Rings and that. I just had to argue as well as I could for Shrek there.
Shrek is great, and honestly, all these are great trilogies. We picked them
So
randomly.
semi-finals. The last semi-final, we got Planet of the Apes versus the original. No, not the original. The Anakin Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah. What do you think with overall story? We'll start where we ended with the other one. I think it's.
That is hard. I was initially going to say Star Wars, and then I was just thinking about how complex it actually is with all like the Planet of the Apes and how there's humans and apes on both sides, and how there is politics to it, and there's a big explanation as to why what happens. But I feel with Star Wars, it's almost this is what it is, and then you go from there.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I just love the Anakin. Do you know what? I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I would sway towards Planet of the Apes for that one.
Do you reckon?
The storyline, yeah, I think I would.
All right. I
What
see.
about you? What are you swaying towards?
I was gonna say it's very close. It is very close. You've got the Star Wars overall story. Is Anakin is found. He is trained, even though they don't want to train him. I'd have to say Star Wars slightly beats it out. I would just say, but then Planet of the Apes is still top tier. So what does that mean?
Okay, tell you what. Let's go to the other ones and let's see, because it might be the other two. We might go for one thing and then it's just decided then.
Yeah.
Okay, so heroes.
Heroes. See, the thing is with the Planet of the Apes, it keeps all the heroes sort of consistent.
But isn't
throughout
there are a few changes, and obviously we know there's that huge change that comes in the Star Wars one.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. They both kind of start with them, with like the origin story of their sort of main character. And then you see him sort of grow. I think hero-wise, you know what? I think Heroes is the only thing I would give to Planet of the Apes. What do you think?
See, again, I've sort of done what you've done. I've almost thought ahead to the next category as well, but I'm like the other way round. I don't rate the villains as much because I think that technically Anakin turns to the villain, but I don't see him as the villain. With the Planet of the Apes, I think the ones that turn into villains, you can tell when they turn into villains.
Yeah,
and there's no question whether it is. Yeah, there is question and thing. And then, but regarding the heroes, I think the heroes would be better from Star Wars. Because I think Anakin's a better hero than in with the Planet of the Apes. But it's almost like we're at deadlock. We almost think the opposite for the heroes and the villains, and then we're stuck on the. We're also undecided on the storyline as well.
So villain-wise, the only reason I'd say Star Wars has it is because there is like a coherent plan that Palpatine has the entire time throughout all of the three films, whereas the Planet of the Apes, they're kind of dealing with things as they come up. You know what I mean? And they are linked, but they're still dealing with things as they come up.
Sorry, I realised we was in the semi-finals, and I was like, oh yeah, it's the Champions League semi-final. I just looked, and final winning 1-0.
Fair.
Up to date reports with brosBTalking. Okay, so I reckon what we're gonna have to do is do 1-1 for the heroes villains, and then we're just gonna have to decide on the story arc.
Yeah. I
okay.
think
Anyone in the comments, if you can help us out on this deadlock, please do. Type in Planet of the Apes or Star Wars. We're trying to figure out which one's the better trilogy.
On the overall story across all three films, I think the thing is with Star Wars is, in my personal opinion, it gets better as you move along. And I actually think The Phantom Menace is a good film. The Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn, and then War, I'd say it actually gets slightly weaker as it goes along, except for there's like a hump with Dawn. I think it goes Rise. No, I think it goes War worst, Rise, then Dawn. So
it gets worse as the series goes on.
Yeah, well, it starts off good, gets better, then gets a bit worse. Whereas Star Wars starts off okay, and then just keeps going up.
Yeah, no, I can see where you're coming from with that. It's funny though that you're arguing for the trilogy I put in. I'm arguing for the one you put in.
Yeah, look, I love it.
Look, I'll tell you what. We give it like 30. We give it like 30 seconds. We'll try and figure it out, and then if not, we can like flip a coin into it.
Or should we score? So you score Planet of the Apes, and I'll score Star Wars, and how good the story is, 0 to 10, like we did with the other one.
That could work.
And just whoever picks the highest is the most committed, and we'll just go with that.
All right. Okay. So what we both given a score for both films then?
Yeah.
Okay. So I would say storyline for Planet of the Apes, I'd give it a 9.
Oh, see, I'd give Star Wars an 8.
And then I would give Star Wars an 8.
And I'd give Planet of the Apes a 7.5. So I think that means Planet of the Apes wins, doesn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Because you went 9 and 8, and I went 8 and 7.5. Oh.
Yeah, so Planet of the Apes goes from that one. Then into the final, Lord of the Rings or Planet of the Apes. What category would you like to discuss first?
Oh, should we go with heroes?
Heroes. I think just purely on the fact of there is more of them and bigger characters, that I am going to say I am going to say Lord of the Rings.
I thought you were going to say Lord of the Rings. When you went Planet, then I was like, what? Lord of the
Rings? Curveball.
It's mine and Becky's favourite trilogy, Planet of the Apes, but even I wouldn't argue, against Lord of the Rings for that one. What about villains?
Villains, you've got to go Planet of the Apes.
Do you reckon?
I just don't rate the villain whole thing in Lord of the Rings. That's my only sort of thing against it.
Okay.
I don't know how many orcs kill main characters.
True. I mean, they kill the King of Rohan at the very beginning.
Yeah, that's what I mean, at the very beginning. So you think, oh shit, they're going to be like that the whole time, and then they're never like that again.
Lurtz gets Boromir. But okay. So you prefer sort of the human bad guys. I would have to go with Lord of the Rings for that one. So then overall, so we're tied. No, we both went for Lord of the Rings for heroes. So at the moment, Lord of the Rings is ahead. Overall story, what are you thinking, Toby?
I might get shit for this, but I actually think Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes, fair enough. I mean, I love Planet of the Apes. The
Don't get me wrong, I love Lord of the Rings. It's such a good story. But then I feel like Planet of the Apes, it's just, I don't know. It is. I think I like the concept more, and I think that the sway of power is very umming and ahhing. Like in Lord of the Rings, it's like, oh, we're totally doomed until they're not.
So are we putting Planet of the Apes as the best trilogy?
I think we are. I think that's the informed decision on the brosBTalking.
Yeah, you've heard it here first. Planet of the Apes. The newest one's coming out this week, I think, on the 9th.
Bob, quickly talk about what you think might happen in that one. I'll be like 2 seconds.
So
I need to put my pie in the oven.
Oh my god. The latest Planet of the Apes film, we're fast forwarding in the future, is probably going to be Caesar's descendant. There seems to be a king, an ape king, if you would. And they've begun hunting humans like they did in the original Planet of the Apes things, where they're riding behind them with nets on horses. Seems to be a human girl, interspecies love. I think that's the theme of the original ones too. A weird one, but we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. It releases tomorrow. We are not sponsored. It just so happens that Planet of the Apes came up, and we've decided it's the best trilogy out of all these. And these are all really strong trilogies. Again, these trilogies are not the only films involved. There's more Pirates of the Caribbean. There's more Cars films, and there's more Shrek ones. And there's going to be more Planet of the Apes ones, but
let's be honest, the first 3 films in pretty much all of the franchises are the best.
Yeah, they're the best, and they have a coherent story, or they're just really decent. Planet of the Apes, wow, who knew?
What was your my thought was like Lord of the Rings was maybe going to do it. I think it was quite unlucky for Shrek and Cars to come up against each other in the first round, and then to go straight up against Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, you're right. I think them going against each other was tough. I thought the prequels might have it, or I thought The Dark Knight would have it. I thought Planet of the Apes would put up a good fight. I think Shrek and Cars though are lucky that they didn't go up against like the Star Wars prequels or The Dark Knight or like Planet of the Apes immediately.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that.
Like, they might not have made it out
what
round
we'll
one.
have to do though, there's loads of trilogies that we did miss out, and if there are any that you'd like us to talk about, like, because like, off the top of my head, you could put like The Hobbit in there.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to put The Hobbit in there when I put Lord of the Rings in there, though, because I went, if they ever come up against each other, it's just Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings wipes it. I was thinking of doing Back to the Future, but have you seen those?
No, I was. People mentioned that to me. They were like, "Oh, why didn't you do Back to the Future?" I was like, "I haven't watched it." Another one that I want to do that maybe me and you should watch is The Matrix.
Yeah, I've watched
That
was my first one. I wrote down Matrix and then I crossed it out and wrote Dark Knight because you mentioned the Joker in our last pod, and I thought, oh, he's seen the Dark Knight. I don't know if you've seen Matrix. Matrix is good as well. It's pretty solid. The second Matrix film is really good.
No, that's what I mean. I remember The Matrix is good, but I couldn't remember all the ins and outs of it, so I literally just sort of forgot. I just was like, I'll do it in another bracket because I didn't want to let it go out in like the first round, and it's just because I hadn't really remembered watching it.
Yeah.
But if there's any other, like, we could easily do this with the Harry Potters or something. That could be a good one to do. We'd be able to do that quite quick as well, because you wouldn't have to explain it as much. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We'd have to think of different categories and maybe villains and heroes, because like story arc you could still definitely have. but maybe like having like plot twists or stuff like that in there.
Yeah, how annoying is Harry/Ron in this one? How annoying is Ron in this Harry Potter?
Rob in the fourth one, he's quite annoying.
Well, that's what I mean. Like in some of them,
He's
he's
like
insanely
mad
annoying.
at Harry for like no reason. He's like piss off.
Yeah, and in like the Deathly
He's annoyed
Hallows.
at him for getting entered into a tournament.
Yeah, exactly, against his will. It's so silly.
Yeah, but that's because he has the Horcrux on. That's like the equivalent of having the ring.
I know, but that still means that he ranks quite highly in the old annoying Ron meter.
Oh, that definitely.
Look, I didn't write the rules; I just made them up.
Have you got any animal news for us today?
I do. I'll rattle through the animal news quite quickly, but
Animal news with Bobby.
so, Toby, did you know that animals such as dogs and cats can suffer from hay fever?
No, I didn't. What, like as bad as we can, or like?
Not quite as bad, but they can get runny noses and watery eyes, just like humans.
Oh,
Then in other animal news, so I thought that was a little factoid for you there. There was a horse saved from a 1.2 meter deep trench. He just fell in there in Buckinghamshire. He had to be.
how do you fall into a trench like that?
I don't know. In the story, it looked really tight on him. To be fair, like he was wedged in this trench, and they had to sedate him to get him out. Good old firefighters were on it.
Yeah, no. Well, horses are such panicky creatures that you really would have to do that, because otherwise they're just like, what's going on? And then if you got them a little bit free, you'd get booted in the head or something.
Yeah, or it would try and bolt and just injure people. Well, as we heard last week with the animal news.
Imagine a horse biting you as well. I've seen them like eat carrots. Like, I'm like, that could be my finger easy.
They could eat. Yeah, you're right. They could chomp you pretty hard. So they had to knock it out and then pull it out. Horse was fine, so it worked out really well. A peregrine falcon hatched 4 baby chicks on top of Worcester Cathedral. So I think they're endangered. They're one of the fastest birds in the world. I think they might be the fastest.
Well, how the hell did they catch them?
Oh no! It just had a little nest on top of the cathedral. It's
Oh,
hatched
right.
4 chicks.
I was like, what caught them? Like, was some geezer just off on a run? And was there like, I've got this?
Yeah, no. It was just a nest. But yeah, look, it says yeah. So they live in the UK. Oh my God, they can reach speeds of 390 kilometers per hour while diving. I think they are the fastest animal on the earth.
That is crazy. Imagine that instead of a pigeon. That
Yeah,
was like
exactly.
the upgrade from a text in Harry Potter. They got those birds.
Yeah,
Yo, what you up to? Zoom.
yeah, that's like the development for them. So that's good. It had the baby chicks on top of the cathedral. It's always nice to see peregrine falcons having babies and flourishing, although they are of least concern, so they're not endangered. But they are very cool.
That's all right then.
There was an orangutan with a face injury seen pulling leaves off of a tree and using them as medicine, like cracking them and wiping them in his injury. And it turns out that tree does have medicinal properties. And in like a week's time, his face had healed up a bit. And so he's the first animal we've ever seen using medicine.
That is crazy. But then I wonder if there was like a bit of mud on the floor if he had just done that.
Yeah, maybe. Although orangutans, the way orangutans learn is that they copy their parents basically. So everything you do, that's how you can teach them to do like human things like saw, because you just have to do it in front of them a couple of times, and they'll learn from that. So he's probably had that passed on to him by his parents, and then he'll pass it on to his kids.
I wonder why it's been like that's the only time the first time we've actually been able to like capture it.
Yeah, because we've seen animals using tools a lot, but we haven't seen animals, and we know like certain animals eat plants, but that might help them, like or eat rocks to help with digestion, but that we don't know.
I've got an animal question. I did really, really random. Just popped into my head. I heard about it the other day. Is a bumblebee?
Yep.
Apparently, with a bumblebee, the whole like thing of it, it shouldn't be able to fly.
Right.
because of the weight of it and how the wings are, it shouldn't be able to fly. Yet the bumblebee still can, because it doesn't know that it's not meant to fly.
See, that sounds cool, but it actually is based on how bugs fly. They utilize pressure in a different way to how birds
So
fly.
can a bumblebee fly?
Yes.
So hang on, I'm googling this. Should a bumblebee be able to fly? These chubby little insects are in all respects masters of flexible flight. They can fly not only forwards and sideways, but even in reverse, and they can reach amazing altitudes into bargain. That doesn't make sense.
Basically,
cutting edge reports.
so insects fly in a different way to how birds fly. So they utilize
basically,
pressure.
my question was going to be: is if that fact is true, that they really shouldn't be able to fly, but yet they still can.
Yeah.
Then my question would be: then I wonder how many dinosaurs we've assumed to be flightless were actually maybe they could fly.
So the thing is, the bumblebee can fly due to the physics. It's just that the way people think he should be flying is wrong. They think he should be flapping around like a bird, whereas insects utilize pressure differences much more. And you got to remember that the bumblebee is really light as well.
Well, I feel lied to because it was a really inspirational quote, and now I feel less inspired now.
But look,
I'm like the bumblebee. The bumblebee can fly.
yeah, he can, and as you read out, he's very good at it. But yeah, the good question about dinosaurs though, and the sort of other flying reptiles of the time. You're right. We might have many fossils of dinosaurs that would be able to glide because they had hollow bones and they had feathers. A lot of the smaller ones. So so you're right. There might be many dinosaurs that could fly or glide that we don't actually know if they could or not at the moment. Fair enough. But the orangutan was one of the first animals we've ever seen seeking out and utilizing medicine. So
Planet of the Apes, here we come.
yeah, they're getting smarter. So Toby, imagine your daughter comes into your room at night and she goes, "Dad, I think there's a monster in my closet." You go in, you open up the closet, and you say, "See, there's nothing in there." And then you hear like this thumping in the wall next to the closet, and you go, "Oh, that's weird." You call in some like house inspector people, and they bring up like an infrared camera, and there's a massive shape in the wall next to the closet. What would you think?
Left hook.
You'd run.
No, left hook.
Left hook. Well, Toby, you would not want to punch this heat signature behind the closet because it was 50,000 bees.
Oh well.
You just punch a hole in
That's
the wall.
R.I.P. Toby then, isn't it? He just left it to beehive.
Yeah, this poor girl had 50,000 bees in her closet, and she told her parents.
I heard about that. Carry on.
But yeah, she told her parents there was a monster in her closet. Obviously, the parents were like, "No, there isn't a monster." Turns out there were many insects. Talking about the beehive, bees flying as well. They're not. They weren't
Oh
bumblebees.
yeah, it's all connected. All
It,
connected
it
up.
is.
Do you? I want to. I was about to say. We'll try and get the video up for the YouTube. But there's a video that I was telling Bobby about the other day, and I shouldn't laugh, but it is funny. Is this delivery driver, and he's driving, and he stalls, and as he stalls, there's 4 goats, and they all just faint instantly as soon as he stalls, and then he sort of gets out the car and they're like, oh shit, and you can tell that he's a bit like I just hit these goats. He's like, oh, surely not. But it's a defense mechanism that goats do, and it doesn't seem. Apparently, they've done like tests on it, and it doesn't seem to have any like bad side effects from them health at all. It's just sort of like a coping mechanism, just to faint.
Yeah. They just kind of stiffen up, don't they, and roll over. There's a couple of animals that do it and play dead as well. But
That's
yeah,
like
goat.
possums.
Yeah, possums play dead. Yeah,
Imagine if like cows and horses played dead.
it'd be funny. It'd be a bit like in Cars when they flip the tractors.
Oh, oh yeah, when they go up behind them and then you just see them go.
Yeah,
Oh, good old Cars. I love that film. That is
it is a great film.
it is a great film. Have you got any more animal news for us?
I have a couple more items. A cat was accidentally posted from Utah to California as part of a Amazon return. Someone taped up their cat in a box without realizing it and posted it back to Amazon. And someone in the Amazon factory opened up the box and there was a live cat in there. The cat is safe.
Did the cat get back to its owner?
It did, yes.
That's amazing. Can you imagine that? You just like turn up for your shift. First box you open, you're like, there's a cat. You're like, what? There's a cat in my box. I'm allergic to cats. I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah, proceeds to die. The So then the next story is that we're also in America. So a man was accused of drunkenly kicking a bison. And then he was later arrested for kicking the bison because he was hospitalized by being attacked by a bison because he kicked. Basically, he walked up to a bison. He was kicking bison, and he walked up to one. He kicked them, and it hit him with its horns. And he pleaded not guilty to fucking with the bison, even though he was seen kicking them and then was later hospitalized by a bison.
Wait, so the police officer kicked a bison?
No. A man was. People were reported a man for going around and kicking bison, which are sort of like these big, ancient-looking cow things, and then he was later hospitalized by a bison and was arrested for harassing the bison. And then he pleaded not guilty, and it's like, well, mate, you you've been attacked
Did he
by
get
a bison.
convicted?
We don't know. We don't know yet. But
That'd be hilarious if he got convicted. Like, not only did he get his ass kicked by the bison, like now he's got to have to do time for it because they can't like punish the bison, can they?
No, and also it's like imagine like cows, right? The bison are a bit like cows. They're not going to attack you unless you're fucking with the bison. So by him being injured by a bison kind of proves that he was fucking with them. And he's like, nah, man. It's like, well, why weren't you in your car?
Oh, I love a calm story like that.
So this is a happy ending. An orca calf was stuck in a Canadian lagoon after basically being born and her mother dying on a nearby beach. So a lagoon's like a big saltwater lake that gets cut off from the sea during high tide and low tide. And this little orca got stuck in that lagoon. And humans have been trying to save her for about 2 months, or just over a month, sorry. And all attempts failed. And then one day, the orca managed to escape on its own and survived and made it back to a pod.
Come on, love that from them.
They were trying to scare the orca into the shallow bits and then like catching her on like this big net that they'd pull up when she swims into it. But the thing is, the orca calf was so young that she kind of got used to humans like trying to trap her. Like she didn't fall for the traps, but she also wasn't scared of the humans anymore. You know what I mean? She kind of got used to it.
I was about to say, they almost sort of got used to them.
Yeah, like they were trying to scare her with noise, and then like eventually she just stopped running away from them when they were doing the noises, and like she'd let you get close, but she wouldn't let you like trap her. But then she kind of just got used to it and was like, "Oh, I guess this is my life now. I'm stuck in a little pool. I'm getting followed by these creatures and trying to net me constantly." But yeah, the rescuers were trying to help, but she managed to escape on her own and survive on her own because they were trying to feed her, but she was like, they were like, we think she was predating on the fish in the lagoon because she wasn't even eating that much, but she looked healthy because the humans were like dumping food in there for her.
Was she eating the food that they were dumping in there?
They didn't see her eating it that much, but she looked really healthy. So they were like, she's
Or did
getting
the
food
food
from somewhere.
disappear?
No, that's the thing. So they were like, she's getting food from somewhere, and she managed to escape on her own. Like, the humans were not necessary in this story at all. We were actually more annoying than we were helpful to this little orca calf.
Well, I think in that's humanity in a nutshell, really.
Yeah. Then and then the final story, we're staying with sort of aquatic mammals here. 200 pilot whales were saved after they were beached in Western Australia. Sadly, 31 of them did die, but
Uh-oh.
loads of them did survive. Humans managed to push them back into the ocean. Don't know why they beached themselves. A little bit worrying, but it happens sometimes.
That's when they just get caught out and the tide just leaves them out there, isn't it?
Yeah, basically. Or so the sad thing is that like human sonar can do that too, because it's like a massive ping under the water. It can like scare them into a direction that, they end up, like you said, the tide goes down and they get left on the beach, or they go into like a weird estuary thing and
Well,
they get
you
stuck.
you think about how hard it is to navigate on land. Imagine the sea. Like
Yeah,
what it'll just be so hard to navigate. You could be going days in one direction and realize you're going the wrong way.
yeah. Well, it's like that shark drawing a picture of himself.
Well, yeah, but I feel that sort of like it's almost like muscle memory. He kept going in that pattern,
Maybe he was just trying to fuck with the researchers.
or maybe it's all lies and there's a bigger picture going on here.
Maybe there's a bigger shark. Maybe he's trying to warn us of the megalodon.
Maybe in next week's next pod's animal news, we will hear of the Megatron.
The Megatron, yes. But that's
No,
all we have.
I love that. That was a wide variety of animals as well.
Yes, yeah. Usually, sometimes we focus on only cats and dogs, and
Well,
sometimes
we do. Me and you, we do love our dogs, so
we do.
it is. We you tend to sort of see a dog story like, oh.
It's true. And like I said, the cat in the Amazon return story, it was that shocked picture of a cat. It's always cats when they get into trouble look like they've been traumatized by what has happened, and dogs always look really sad, which is sad. Thank you for watching this brosBTalking video. I'm sure whatever we said was very interesting. This is a pre-recorded outro. Remember to like, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and leave a comment. Tell us we're idiots. Tell us that you think I'm right. Tell us that Toby is wrong. And yeah, have a good one. Thank you. Bye.